There's a really dangerous situation playing out in the occupied West Bank.
For 3 days, a group of Israeli settlers have been trying to force a Palestinian family from their home. This is in the village of Qusra. Inside there is a man, Yusuf Hassan, his wife, and their 2 young daughters. The IDF says they're trying to clear these settlers out. They've said no Israelis are allowed in these areas now. But activists who've been trying to get to this house to deliver food and medical supplies, they accuse the IDF of stopping them from getting there. And journalists have not been able to access the area either. The IDF has put out a statement. They've said,
"This is illegal, reprehensible, and unacceptable activity that harms the residents of the areas and disrupts their daily lives." Figures released just this week by the Israeli government show a 63% increase in what they call nationalist crime in the West Bank.
And the United Nations say over 2,000 Palestinians have been displaced by this sort of violence just this year. To understand this, you need to understand the way that the occupied West Bank is divided.
There are 3 broad areas, A, B, and C. A is the smallest, about 20% of the West Bank, and this is where major Palestinian cities like Ramallah and Nablus are located. They are under the full civil and internal security control of the Palestinian Authority. There's Area B, which is just over 20% of the West Bank. That covers a lot of rural Palestinian towns and villages. They are under civil administration of the Palestinian Authority, but the Israeli military holds the overriding security control. Then there's Area C, that's about 60% of the West Bank. That is just full Israeli civil and military control.
Now, when you hear about more settlements being built or settler violence, a lot of the focus has often been on Area C, that is where the Israelis are in control, and it's where the majority of the major settlements are located. And of course, settlements in Area C are still illegal under international law, but in the last year, this current Israeli government has driven the fastest and most extensive period of settlement building in Israel's history. But we're talking about areas A and B. Qusra is in Area B, and these areas have seen a massive uptick in settler violence in just the last few months.
Although the Palestinian Authority has the civil administration, the security, that's down to the Israelis. And that means that access is dictated by the IDF. And it's why the Israeli state is often accused of working with the settlers
to either facilitate, join in, or just stand by and watch these illegal activities.
Now, they're likely doing this to this house in Qusra because just last month, another group of settlers surrounded the home in Jalud, which is a village not far from here. And the IDF has confirmed that none of those settlers were arrested.
What you also see settlers do is try to disconnect Palestinian homes from the electricity supply, from water supplies. What you're watching here is settlers tampering with solar panels. In this case, in Qusra, the IDF says they are trying to remove the settlers.
But clearly, a lot of these people feel empowered. Similar activity elsewhere goes largely unpunished. And their movement, the settler movement, really headed by Ben Gvir and Bezalel Smotrich, well, it's at the heart of this government.